If you've ever played Minecraft, then you've probably experienced punching down a tree and making a wooden pickaxe. Today we'll be doing exactly that, except not punching down the tree because, well, I don't have to punch down a tree. Listen, I don't even have trees in my backyard, but if I did have a tree and I wanted to punch it down, I would probably go ahead and do so for you all. But I'm pretty sure the tree would probably win. Back on topic. The wood pickaxe is the first pickaxe you can make. Now the question is, can the wood pickaxe actually work pretty good in real life? And, well, the answer is kind of surprising, but it's both yes and no. We'll get into that in a bit. First, we'll go over a quick geology lesson. Rocks are very complicated and they come in many different forms. Some are weak and some are strong. There's your geology lesson. I'm not a geologist, but there is a guy who is a geologist. And I don't remember what his channel is called, but I'll put it in the video. I'll put it in here. Go check him out. He talks about rocks. The only part of geology I know is like minerals, like anglesite, sphalerite, zincite, stuff like that. I think zincite's one. No, cuprite's one.
If it doesn't break first try, we'll alternate. You get to pick which one you do first.
If it doesn't break in one hit, then I guess we're gonna alternate. You already said you want to bet.
No. If it doesn't break in one hit.
Alright, here goes. Here goes round one.
Just kidding.
Holy crap.
No.
Hold on. It didn't really break properly. It's just the screws broke. The screws are still fine.
I split it clean in half, too.
Oh, the rock is in half. The rock is actually split right over.
You broke the rock and the thing?
That's a limestone right there. He broke a
As you can
bone.
see in the video, the screws snapped the handle in half because they were going through the top of the handle, and whenever the force impacted the, well, very inert rock, it basically pushed the thing into pieces and snapped it in half. But it also cracked here, which means that it held together just enough for this to break. And as you saw, it broke the rock too. Now that rock was incredibly weak, and the inside of it was, well, it was pretty red, so I'm assuming it might have been some kind of iron mineral. Also, the outside was quite, you know, it had white, so calcium of some kind in that, like a pale white color. And the only reason I made this wooden pickaxe in the first place was as a joke, not really to be used for anything. But we ended up trying to see if we could actually use it, and that's exactly why that clip exists, and why I'm making this video now. Because it actually kind of worked. Now it was on to attempt number 2. This one was much better constructed as the screws were going through the side of the head, through the handle, with a total of 4 screws, perfectly balanced, to hold it in. The handle goes all the way through the head, such that a small amount protrudes out. This makes the tool very sturdy, and actually makes it incredibly decent. Although it can't break some very strong rocks. Now, there's 2 reasons for not being able to break very strong rocks, and one of them is that strong rocks versus soft wood, that's not gonna work. The second one is that this just doesn't have enough mass to it to break those rocks. I mean, if you took a piece of wood that had, like, the mass of the sun, you could probably break the rock. Actually, it wouldn't even need to be the mass of the sun. You could probably just take, like, a piece of a log that has the mass of a car to break it. Or you could just throw it at the ground, which would be way easier, honestly. Anyway, if it wasn't for my friends helping me test this out, as a joke, I wouldn't actually be making this video again. I just have to reiterate that. But I digress. It's time for us to actually start with the next part of the video. We're making a stone pickaxe now, of course. Yeah, I mean, why not? You make a wood one, why not make a stone one? Because that's the next dumbest thing we can make. Now, with the stone one, here's the interesting thing. It's annoying to actually make stone stuff because you have to make a hole through the stone to fasten it to the thing. Tying the stone to the thing, that's difficult, and I don't really know how to do that. I know it's possible, but it's difficult, and getting a stone that's the right shape and then tying it on, and also having that stone be the right type of stone that doesn't break. I'm talking like stuff that's like granite. If you're using a garbage stone, it's going to break the second it hits something. You see, stone is very brittle. Okay? So the second it touches something, just slightly too hard, it breaks. I mean, it's not like glass where it's gonna shatter like a glass pickaxe. That's the next dumbest thing I could possibly make. But a stone pickaxe is just so difficult to make. I did manage to fasten it to the tool, but it was a pain and a headache, and it was a big struggle because once I got it all tied and on, I couldn't even hold it on with a tie. I think you can use some kind of adhesive material for this, like oiled leather or something. I think that's what would historically have been done. But I think a bone pickaxe would probably be better. Of course, I don't have bones, so that's not gonna happen. Now, even if I did manage to get it secured with 2 screws, the second it hits the stone, it shatters. It's not worth it with this rock, at least. That's not to say that it's not good with any rocks. Some rocks are, like I said before, some rocks are stronger than others. In fact, the rock that I was hitting was just so hard that it couldn't even be broken with the wood pickaxe. So, that's what I mean. Some rocks are good. Others bad. This is a bad one, and it's clearly not better than this one. And I'm sure there's a best rock, but I don't have access to that rock. It's probably like a super rock, and it's hidden in some super secure caveman facility or something, like Cave 51 or something. So now that we've made a wood pickaxe, a stone pickaxe, it's time for us to get started with metal. And this is where things go horribly wrong, because I built everything wrong and did everything wrong. And, well, we'll get to that in a bit. But I did make some other stuff, which is actually nice and wonderful, and I love that. Anyway, we're gonna build a furnace. Yes. Now, my first approach to this was just to build a pit in the ground, surround it with some cinder blocks, and make it a more permanent structure than we did in the electrolysis video. But you're not here for science, are you? You're here for a man playing Minecraft in real life. So so yes, it's just a more permanent version of that. And I decided that I was going to make a clay mold for melting this stuff, which I thought was copper for some reason. And I cut it, and it somehow becomes silver. No, that's not how. Because I cut it, it got some weird color change. I don't know. That's not what happened. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is just coated aluminium, so it's definitely not copper. But anyway, I'll let you see the entire process, and I will just be quiet while you all get to enjoy this. Okay, so I think you all saw that winch, but we'll go ahead and explain it a bit. Basically, I first dug out a hole. Then I shoved some bricks in the hole to make walls, and then I filled in the hole around the bricks with the dirt that I had dug out. Then I filled it in with water to get the dirt packed down, and then I put more dirt on top and then packed that down as well. And then once it was nice and sealed off pretty well, I had the world's worst forge. It was tiny, did not have a way to feed air. We'll see, we'll talk about that later and how that's going to work in the future, because I do have plans. I also made a clay mold, which this is not clay, this is mud. But I do have good clay in my area, it's just that I just was too lazy to bother with that. Next time we're gonna definitely dig that up, because I would love to do some stuff with clay. The clay I have is red in my area, and it's just, I'm pretty sure it's not clay. I don't think it's clay. I think it just contains a lot of iron. Very iron-rich dirt. But like I said, I know a spot where we can just dig that up, and it actually does if you make a small mold of it. I made one for Legos once, to make my own counterfeit Legos. And it held together pretty good, and it was a pretty good, you know, clay, I think. But anyway, this mud mold, this was gonna be where we're gonna heat up the supposedly copper. It's actually aluminium. I've already said this. But this thing does not work at all. Dried out, cracked, broken. It didn't even dry out. It was so soggy it fell apart. In fact, if you want to generate a lot of heat, you need a lot more fuel than that small amount of fuel. And also, you need to have a much larger enclosed space, which I believe we can build something like this. But not right now. I don't want to do that right now. It's maybe this weekend. And I also already have ideas for how to circulate air through the bottom, because feeding air into the bottom of it will actually allow it to generate more heat and keep it going for longer, which is very important. But besides that, the important thing that I got out of this was some more charcoal. But we'll show that off at the end of the video, because it's nice charcoal. It's like what you'd expect for, like... You know what? I'll just shut up. Anyway, as you can see, I dug up one of those pieces of stone, pulled it out, and created a little hole in it so that way we could feed air into it. This did not work. This was stupid, and honestly, air needs to feed through the bottom or one of the sides, but if you feed it through the side, it's going to be harder to disperse through it. So feeding it through the bottom and then into air holes, for like if you were doing it through a metal barrel or something like that, having air holes and then having a thing on the bottom that you basically pressurize and have the air flow out through the holes, that would be a brilliant idea. Because having the air dispersed equally through the area allows it to work much better, probably. Assumption. But anyway, the main point of the air is to get the heat up, as I've discussed. In fact, you don't just have to pump it. You could totally pump something that isn't air through there, like, what, like natural gases and stuff, like methane. Oh, yes. That would be amazing. Pumping hydrazine through it. What? It's a rocket. That is no burn barrel, that is a rocket barrel. Sir, are you planning to go to space with this? Anyway, I started working on some aluminum cans. It kind of got them hot enough to actually make them really soft. In fact, at the end of this video, you'll see that I managed to get the aluminum wires to melt into one of the cans, kind of, but not really. And it's sad, because aluminum has a low melting point, and I don't think it's as low as copper or, like, tin, for that matter. Tin has a very low melting point. Lead even has a very low melting point, in fact. Soldering iron alloy is just lead and tin. It's got an extremely low melting point. Like, I believe it's around 600 Fahrenheit, and I think they'd probably be around 300 Celsius or so. Honestly, I don't really care the temperatures it melts at. I just can give you a general range that lead and tin have very low melting points. Aluminium has a slightly higher melting point. Copper is very close to aluminium. And then iron is 1700 F. I don't know Celsius for that. Probably 600. And steel's even higher. It's, I believe, 2100 F. I don't even know. I do know that titanium is 2600 or so? Maybe 2100. It's somewhere in that range. And then tungsten is a ridiculous amount. I'm pretty sure it's probably 4000 F or something. It's insane. And tungsten actually can be made into one of the strongest thermites. It's insane. But I guess that'll be a video for another time. Maybe if we get Thorium